America, check out 16W with Norman. All the self-deprecation and stupidity you can handle, available wherever you download and listen. Rate, share, and review. I'm Chris Cody. Arr!
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to 16W with Norman. We have a lot of stuff going on here today. It is a very full house, a lot of activity. So we are coming to you from lovely Tampa, Florida, where it's about 90, 85 degrees or so outside and sunny. And I wanted to do a quick podcast, a lot of stuff going on today. Norman is listening to Lucy bark outside the door. So he is wanting to get out there and play with her. So you might hear a lot of stuff going on out there. Lucy is a total brat, and she's messing with some people we have at the house today. And everybody's trying to get work done and do what they need to do. And Norman is just chilling in here with me. So hopefully it won't be too distracting with Lucy barking out back. So we can get started and kind of go through some of the things that are going on in the world, in sports, in our house, and entertainment. I have a list of a few things that I wanted to go over. First and foremost, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's gone on in Minnesota here the last week and just give you my personal view on the situation. I've had a couple people I like, make commentary on this, and I shake my head, and they might shake their head at my commentary, and this is the differing views we could have. I have to tell you that I am completely thrilled with the verdict as it went down for a few reasons. One, watching a human being get executed on camera is a disturbing thing to watch, regardless of black, white, if he was on drugs, if he wasn't on drugs. Watching someone get choked out and killed is disturbing for me. Does that mean I'm anti-police? No, it doesn't mean I'm anti-police. In fact, I'm pretty pro-police. I'm pretty pro-law and order. I just think that this is a terrible example of what happens when someone uses their power and authority in a manner that is just misguided. And unfortunately for Derek Chauvin, or however you pronounce his name, his sentence is a death sentence. I can't see him possibly making it past a year in prison, just because keep him. He's going to be in solitary confinement. He's either going to kill himself from going crazy, or he's going to get out. Someone's going to get at him, and it's just not gonna work out well for him, I don't believe. And it's what's a shame is that there's other officers involved in this that are also, it's negligent. I mean, this should have been as simple as, if you want to take the guy down, take him down, cuff him, put him in the car. Everybody lives to go to court and go live another day. Instead, there's a guy dead. There's one guy that's going to jail for 20 years or whatever it is, and 4 other cops who sat around. And I get it. Cops don't want to second guess or go against a fellow brother officer, because it looks bad for them going forward. I get all that, but this is a case where it's just a shame. And watching online as people I know and people who I like having varying views and friendships ending on social media because of it, because people can't have a dialogue and discuss it, that it's just a shame. The whole thing is a shame. And I'm also glad for the verdict, because honestly, if it keeps the state of Minnesota or Minneapolis intact for a little while longer, that's a good thing. It'll be interesting to see when the verdict comes down in June, what happens. It'll also be interesting to see what happens in August when the other officers get tried. There are still some trapdoors here that could ultimately explode in the city, but for now, at least this verdict has gone down, and it's been relatively quiet as far as the community goes. And some of the politicians that are making commentaries, some of this stuff is just silly. Like, why can one person say one thing and it's considered inciting a riot, and another person say something similar and it's not considered inciting a riot? The whole thing is just, it's a double standard. I don't get too tied up into the media stuff. I think it's all bad. I think if you think Trump didn't talk about storming the Capitol, I mean, he alluded to it and people did it, and then he was held, tried to be held accountable for it. Maxine Waters did a very similar thing, and she ultimately has, it seems to be going unscathed. So I'm trying to get. Oh, by the way, I'm trying to get Norman down in this picture. He was in there a minute ago, but now he's hiding. So we'll see if he comes back in a few minutes. At the end of the day, I think both of them are irresponsible for the things they say. As someone might say, I'm irresponsible for broadcasting this type of stuff and expressing my opinion, but I'm not inciting a riot. And I think there's a line of demarcation there that I have not crossed. But that's the heavy stuff that's going on in the world. In the house here, a couple things that are going on is my dad hasn't been doing good. So the Tuesdays with Tommy thing, I don't know exactly what the future of that's going to be. We some broadcasts with him. He's funny to listen to because he has such an old school view of things, and his memory's off. So if you've ever dealt with someone with dementia or Alzheimer's and some of the things that go along with it, like the forgetfulness, like the stepping out, fortunately or unfortunately, he's in a wheelchair, so we don't have to worry about him taking off on us. But the actual day-to-day of taking care of him has gotten progressively worse here lately, and today he's having some issues. So who knows? We're keeping a close eye on him today, so we'll see what happens with him. Hopefully he'll be okay, and we'll be okay to resume some Tuesdays with Tommy stuff. We've tried to do a couple different subject matters that we've kind of watched movies. We're going to do a movie review, but he's having trouble following even a basic movie over a 90-minute window. So we're struggling with that, but we'll keep working through it, and we'll try to figure out how we move forward from there. As far as the world of sports, I'm excited about the NFL draft. The Giants have made some moves that I like. They're not really high risk, but they're potential. I mean, they're high risk, high return. Got guys that have been injured that the Giants have give contracts to, and that, but they haven't given them these long-term contracts where they're just going to crush the franchise for 10 years to come, like they had done in the past. So that's a good thing. What they end up doing with the number 11 pick, conventional wisdom, or wisdom of teams that have built good teams through the draft, would trade back because it's a high commodity pick. There's a lot of people available still at that point, and they could end up getting a bunch of stuff, a bunch of additional picks, and still get decent players. Oh, Lucy's driving me nuts back there. So we hopefully they're going to trade back, but our general manager has a tendency never to trade back. So it could be either they're going to get a really good pick. I personally would like them to take. There's an offensive lineman out of Northwestern that if he's available, I think he could solidify the offensive line, solidify Saquon Barkley's career, give him a good run with the guys that they already have, and also give time to the Giants' young quarterback Daniel Jones. However, the thinking when this new general manager came in a few years ago was that he's going to build the team from the inside out, meaning the offensive and defensive lines, and make the team solid and have a bedrock for them to work off of. The previous general manager basically drafted flashy players, and then no one was blocking, so no one could even get the ball to those flashy players, and our quarterback got killed in the last couple years of his career under that regime. So hopefully, I'd like to see them get this kid Slater out of Northwestern. I think he's probably the closest thing to can't miss. But again, last year I wanted Wirfs, who ended up going to Tampa and winning a Super Bowl. They ended up taking Andrew Thomas out of Alabama, who he's gotten bagged on. He struggled early on, but everybody struggles early on in their career when they first come as offensive linemen. There's so many different things that go on in the defensive game in the pros that doesn't happen in college. But I think they'll be okay. They have a good young center who is just mean. Like he's mean, which is good. You need that. They got a big guy named Will Hernandez, who I loved coming out of college. He had a good rookie year. He slumped back a little bit, but I think he's an animal. I think he could be good too. They also have a giant kid out of Connecticut, no less, of a right tackle who Matt Pert looks massive. I'm hoping he can put it together. So the Giants have a good young offensive line. Hopefully, the draft won't be the highlight of our season like it's been the past couple years. But and last year wasn't bad. I mean, they had a chance to make the playoffs, even though the team was terrible and had a terrible record. They still had a chance to make the playoffs, so it made it interesting. But it's not really what you want to see. You want to see a team that's competing every week, not just beating up teams they should beat up and then struggling with finishing teams that they are close with. And that's basically been the Giants. I mean, they've been downright bad for the past couple of years, and some head coaching things. I think we got that worked out. I love the head coach we have now, a guy named Joe Judge. So we have some good stuff going on in football. My Braves been back and forth. They've kind of swept and been swept and playing good. Ronald Acuna is an animal. I mean, if you haven't watched any Braves baseball, this kid is lighting it up. I mean, he's young. I believe they just signed him to an extension. One of the young kids they signed to extension. And he's going to be a Brave for a while, and he's lights out. I mean, he hits the ball well. He fields well. He hits for average. He hits for power. He's what you would call a five-tool player in baseball. Love watching him play. Went to an actual Yankees-Rays game, my first Rays game that I've ever been to. I bought myself a Rays hat just because I'll root for anybody other than the Yankees. And it was good. I mean, it was spaced out. Honestly, that field I don't think gets many more fans than that anyway, even on a good day. But it turns out that the stadium had a good turnout of people. It wasn't super packed. We were socially distant. People were wearing masks for the most part. I wasn't. I was actively eating throughout the entire game. They told me I could wear a mask, or if I'm actively eating is the only time I can't wear a mask. So I actively ate and drank throughout the entire game, and enjoyed it. It was a good game. So, and we had decent seats. So it was a pretty good game to go watch. Anytime the Yankees lose, I'm always happy for that. But the big news is really in sports for me is the Knicks. The Knicks have been awful, with the exception of like a 2-year window. Amari Stoudemire, Carmelo Anthony in 2012, 2013, 2011 to 2013-ish. They have been god-awful for all of the 2000s. I mean, they went to the finals in 99 and have been terrible ever since. Struggled through Isaiah Thomas, who wasn't a terrible GM, just not a great person as far as front office people go, as far as messing with women and doing all sorts of shady stuff. And then they get Phil Jackson, and everybody thinks, well, Phil Jackson, he's the orchestrator of the Bulls and the Lakers and all this stuff, and he shits the bed. And then they start to turn things around here recently. They're on an 8-game winning streak. They're, I believe, the 4th seed as it sits right now in the East. I'm not saying they're going to get past the Sixers or the Nets, although the Nets have some issues. Aldridge is out. Harden is iffy on the fence. There's Norman. And so they have some issues there. So the Nets might not be as world-beating as everybody thinks going in, but the Sixers look good. Celtics, Jason Tatum are always pretty decent. So the Knicks, if they could get to the second round, that would be great. If they could get to the conference finals, that would be really cool. I'd like to see that happen and start to turn the team around with some good young talent. I mean, they have 3 guys, Randall, Barrett, and Quigley. The 3 of them have been playing really well. They probably need one sick shooter or clutch shooter that they could get to help them down the stretch, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And they're going to roll with what they have, and they're going to continue to build the team, which is cool. I like where they're going, and hopefully I could actually watch playoff basketball. As far as other sports, I mean, I live in Tampa, so Tampa is kind of like a hotbed right now. You have the Lightning won the Stanley Cup, the Rays went to the World Series and lost, and the Bucks ended up winning the Super Bowl. So Atlanta is like the center of the sports world right now, which is cool. But I'll see somebody's at my door. Let's see what Alexa says. Thank you, Alexa. So we are going to see if the Bucks can hang on to what they did last year. I think they'll be pretty good. They have Tom Brady. They'll be pretty good. I'd like to see the Patriots continue to crash and burn. I would also like to, the Braves were in the NLCS last year against the Dodgers, and the Dodgers ended up winning the World Series. So some of my teams are actually starting to be, I don't want to say turn a corner, but improving to the point where it makes it a little bit more enjoyable to watch. It's not turning it on for 3 hours and just angry and yelling at the TV. and it's helped with my nail biting and anxiety of watching sports. So that's been good too. The other thing from outside of sports, the other thing I've been looking at, updating on some entertainment things, and I will tell you, my wife and I started rewatching Homeland from the very beginning. And I know during COVID, a lot of people have done this, like, pick a show, watch it from the beginning to end. I saw a friend watching The Sopranos recently, people watching all these different shows to kind of rekindle that stuff, because there was sort of a drought on new material for a while because COVID kind of shut everything down, and people were unable to tape until they were able to get their hands around what the protocols were. Stuff's starting to come back, has started to come back, and it's been pretty good. And I have the regular shows that I watch. There's a handful of them that are good. But as far as binging, as far as stuff I watch regularly, the one show I really like, my wife got me into it, is Grey's Anatomy. Watched it forever. I've seen every episode. I have to say, as of late, it's gotten so political for me that it's kind of turning me off. And not because I don't believe in their causes that they're talking about, or agree or disagree with the causes that they're talking about. It's just last week's episode was just pounded with one thing after another, whether it's COVID, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's, it was one thing after another of just a barrage of political statements, as opposed to the normal drama and stuff that goes on there. I do watch This Is Us. I don't know why I watch This Is Us. It's terrible. I mean, I love it, but it's sad. It's so sad. Every episode is sad for me. A lot of the father, the son, the Kevin and mom thing just is sad to me. But I watch it because I'm a glutton for punishment. And but the one thing I have been watching is, to my brother's credit, he has a third show that he's always bragged about, was Deadwood. I haven't gotten into that yet, but I did go through The Wire and watched pretty much every episode. I mean, not pretty much. I watched the entire series of The Wire. It was really good. Now I saw Breaking Bad years ago, but now I'm watching Better Call Saul, and I'm into season 2 of that. Great show, some great characters. It's kind of neat to watch because some of the characters overlap from Breaking Bad if you haven't watched it. And if they're in Breaking Bad, they're not going to die in Better Call Saul, but it's kind of cool to see how their road winds to get them to where they end up, where they are at Breaking Bad. But that's pretty good. I've been watching that. Still doing my Hell's Kitchen. I like watching Gordon Ramsay yell at people. I would love to go on Hell's Kitchen just to get yelled at by Gordon Ramsay. It would be great for him to call me a donkey, or kick me out of the kitchen for fucking up some risotto. But I watch that too. That's kind of comic relief. And then, speaking of comic relief and food, I will readily admit there's two places that are terrible food. Are commonly considered terrible food that it's like my guilty pleasure of stuff. One is Hooters. I don't care about necessarily the orange shorts or any of that stuff. It doesn't faze me, but I like the wings. I like their breaded wings. They're fattening as hell. They're disgusting for you, but I do dig eating those. And then my other guilty pleasure is Waffle House. I could literally eat Waffle House every single day. And while I've been trying to gain weight, I have had it a few times a week. And I just go, I sit at the counter, I eat my eggs, and kind of hang out. But today, after the gym today, I went to Waffle House, sat at the counter right next to the cash register, and heard one of the silliest conversations I have ever heard in my entire life. The waitress, the server, is checking out a customer, a woman with her credit card, and the woman proceeds to ask if she could leave a tip on the credit card. And at first I thought it was a joke. I kind of looked and giggled a little bit. And the conversation went on for 10 minutes, 5 solid minutes, because I was waiting for my food. I could see it on the perch over there getting cold. And I was like, I just want to eat. I want to stuff my face. And I was listening to this conversation, which made it a little more frustrating. But the server, she handled herself pretty well, because this woman needed a detailed description of how tips work on the credit card. Can she put the tip on the credit card? Where does she write it on the credit card? Where does she sign her credit card slip? How do they divvy up the money that she is leaving for that particular server at the end of this? So the server went through, you write it here, you add it here, you total it here, you sign here. And at the end of the night, we look at everybody's slips and we determine who gets what. So explained it to her once, and she sort of got it and started to fill out her slip. She's like writing the thing down, and then midway through writing it, she had to get a whole other set of directions for where to put the tip, how to put the tip, and do all this stuff. So then I was doing a double take. Like, this is the second time through this. I honestly, and I'm not. It's just it astonishes me that someone in 2021 doesn't know how to fill out a credit card slip with a tip on it. But it went on for a good 5 minutes, and the girl afterwards, she left, and I looked at the waitress, and I'm like, if I give you a tip in cash, how do I know you get it? And she just started laughing, because I just don't understand how people exist in the world day to day if they don't know some of that stuff. What else do they not know? That is very scary for me. And then the last thing I'll finish up with is I just bought a 1989 Mustang GT convertible. It is very nice, but it's also a 30-year-old car, so there's some things that I need to do to it to kind of make sure it's safe. But the thing is phenomenal. I had it out today, and I have to take it out this afternoon to do a couple errands with it. I'm just trying to get some miles on it and get used to it. And I will say that I got my driver's license in 1989, the year this car was made, and my first 5 or 6 cars were stick shifts, 5 speeds, whatever, that I used. I'm pretty good at driving a stick shift. I'm okay at it driving a stick shift. And they say if it's like riding a bike. You pick it right back up. I got to tell you, the last time I drove a stick shift was probably 1995-ish. So you're talking, 16, what's that, 95, 05, 15, 26 years ago is the last time I drove regularly a stick shift. And it is taking some getting used to again with a car that's a high-performance vehicle that it goes, and getting used to the shift and going and doing all that stuff. It is a fun car to drive, but it makes me nervous. I'm afraid it's going to just implode on me. With my luck, it might, but if it does, it does. We'll work that out later. But right now, I'm just enjoying it. So that thing is crazy. And then the last thing is my ponytail. I'm going to have to cut that off at some point. I told my wife I'm going to leave it and let my hair get real blonde over the summer and then figure out what I want to do with it. Don't know if I'm going to last that long, but it was just fun to watch her reaction to that. So hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are, if you're in New Jersey or Atlanta or here in Tampa or somewhere else around the country that is somehow receiving this broadcast. Enjoy, and we will catch you guys later.